Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, back to bring you more news and commentary you can use. So I want to say a happy Sunday to you. This is Memorial Day weekend. Again, we want to honor the servicemen and women who sacrificed their life to protect, defend, and honor our country so that people like you and I could have certain freedoms. It's a beautiful Sunday. I've been out working in my garden. I have my mosquito net on, because mosquitoes, other type of, bugs and things like that flying, it just makes it easier. I don't have to keep, going like this and fanning and things like that. I just wanted to come on and talk about some concerning news out of the state of Florida. If you haven't heard already, the NAACP has come out with a statement. As a matter of fact, they came out with a press statement back on May 20th. And the NAACP has issued a travel advisory in Florida. Now, listen to this, y'all. Okay, now, according to the NAACP, this information comes directly from their website, okay, which is NAACP.org. Now, if you're unfamiliar with NAACP, if you're saying, okay, Andrea, what does that acronym stand for? NAACP, you can do your research, but the acronym stands for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, okay? Now, the NAACP Board of Directors issued a formal travel advisory. Listen to this, y'all, for the state of Florida, okay? I'm reading from their website. The travel advisory comes in direct response, okay, to Governor Ron DeSantis's aggressive attempts, the article is saying, to erase Black history and to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. Okay, now you all let me know your thoughts on this topic. I've talked about how there seems to be an agenda to confuse the hearts and the minds of our children, so much so that in some states, okay, here in Georgia where I am, some school districts, this has been a topic of conversation, as well as in the state of Florida with the AP curriculum. Okay, I've spoken on that before. I actually took time to look at the curriculum. Now, do I believe that Black history should be taught in schools? Absolutely. Okay, I believe it should be taught at home. Okay, I don't think that, coming from me, I'm Black, right? So I'm not saying that I rely on the school system. I'm not relying on the school system to teach my child Black history. It starts at home, right? But I do think it should be taught in schools. Not only do I think that Black history should be taught in schools, just think about, I don't know where you live, where you're from, but just think about growing up in schools. There were not, at least during the time when I was in school, right? There were not a lot of books, poems. There wasn't a lot of, information about, Black figures, whether it was in the past or present, history or in the present. So I definitely think that should be a change there. But however, particularly where I am concerned is when you want to teach an ideology, okay, gender identity, to children whose brains are not even fully developed, okay, based on research, brains aren't fully developed, still very much, growing and learning. Why should it be that this ideology is taught to children? Let children be children is what I'm saying. But let me keep reading, y'all. I just wanted to share my thoughts. I'm not here to criticize you if you have a different opinion, but I do want to encourage you to share your thoughts on this topic. So, according to the NAACP, right, they're saying that Governor Ron DeSantis, who is the Florida governor, they're saying that he has aggressive attempts to erase Black history and to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. Now, particularly after looking at the African American AP Advanced Placement Curriculum, African American Studies, which is the one of the talking points of this article, some of the books Thought I heard something behind me. Some of the books, it's kind of like, okay, well, why do they want to ban that book? Or, you know, what's the issue with this book? I'm gonna cover some of the banned books in another video. But where I have specific concern about the African American Studies curriculum, and I don't know if many people have actually taken the time to research this or learn about this, but there's actually a like a chapter or a section that talks about Black queer studies. Okay, now why do high school children need to necessarily be taught that when they're learning about Black history? Is that necessary? That's where I have a concern, okay? Gender identity, things like that. Ideology that's confusing what I call the hearts and minds of children, okay? Listen, y'all, I'm working out in the garden. My hands, fingers may be dirty. So y'all don't judge me, okay? I'm out here been working in the garden. I got a lot of, you know, I got my gloves, garden gloves, all of that. I had to take that off a couple of times. But listen, y'all, working in the garden ain't always pretty, okay? Don't be on here judging my nails, okay? All right, y'all, listen. The formal travel notice states, and I quote, Florida is openly hostile. These are not my words, y'all. Again, these are the words of the NAACP. So I quote, Florida is openly hostile toward African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals. Before traveling to Florida, please understand that the state of Florida devalues and marginalizes the contributions of and the challenges faced by African Americans and other communities of color. Now, I'm in Georgia, which borders Florida. Okay, Florida is actually like, I consider Florida like a second home. Okay, I have people that I love in Florida, family, friends. I've never felt mistreated in Florida. I, within this past year, took a trip to Florida. I even showed you all where, I just happened to be at Disney World. And I was, treated fine. I was treated well. I didn't feel like I was in any type of danger or threat or anything like that. Of course, a lot of these issues and topics and talking points have come out after the fact, after my trip. But really, NAACP, you don't want us to go to Florida because of what you feel like are attempts to, and I quote, devalue and marginalize the contributions of and challenges faced by African Americans. And not only that, but you specifically want to highlight LGBTQ plus individuals over your own, over other Black issues that we could be talking about. What about reparations? I have been talking about reparations on the channel before they're talking about reparations now. Why is the NAACP, now this is a question that I'm asking, right? Why is the NAACP being used to almost further divide the Black community, Americans? Again, now I'm for Black history being taught, right? I have several books, okay? Again, I'm not relying on the school system to teach me, teach my child, teach my family about Black history, okay? We teach, my husband and I, we teach Black history in our household, right? So I'm not here saying, oh no, we don't need it, the school doesn't need to teach Black history. Of course, okay? I believe it starts at home, but why? And now let me also point this out, okay? It was said at the time that this press statement came out that Governor Ron DeSantis was going to announce his intent to run for president of the United States. So, the timing of this is questionable, okay? It was a rumor. It was rumored to be said that he was going to announce maybe the next day or following day or sometime within that week he was running for president. Now all of a sudden you have the NAACP, right? You can do your research on the history of the NAACP. At the same time, they come out with this press statement. Are they trying to sway votes? What is really going on here? Something is just not right about this. Everyone who I have mentioned this story to, right? Y'all heard about what the NAACP is saying? NAACP is saying that Florida isn't safe for Black people. We don't need to go there with travel advisory. Now, if you don't know what a travel advisory is, right? Travel advisories are normally issued when there's some type of threat, like, okay, like let's say a country is experiencing some type of turmoil, some type of conflict, that, you know, there's something going on, there's some type of situation, or there's some type of news or confidential information that has been shared that, you know, that would make government agencies, right? Government agencies are normally the ones that I from my research, government agencies normally do this. They would normally issue a travel advisory based on some type of intelligence that they received, right? So why is it that the NAACP, okay, is issuing a travel advisory? Now, I don't have to keep reading. I'm gonna share it with you, but I don't have to read into it too much further to ask really what's going on and to come up with my own thoughts. NAACP, I want to ask a question. NAACP, right? National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, okay? And it's something about the term colored people that, you know, just today is kind of like, you know, what, colored people? But we know this term comes from a certain time period in American history, right? Issuing, so NAACP, here's my question for you, right? Issuing a travel advisory, is that really advancing Black Americans? Aren't there more pressing issues, more critical? And I'm not saying that this is not, but I'm just simply asking. See how the wind is blowing, y'all? Aren't there more critical issues, right, that we could be talking about here? Reparations for Black Americans who were descendants of slaves. What about the family of the young lady, Miss Robinson, who somehow tragically lost her life in Mexico, and her family is now you know, trying to move further in the investigation after being told by U.S. officials that they weren't gonna, you know, prosecute or pursue the case? Why are you not standing, instead of issuing a travel advisory to the state of Florida, why not stand with the family of Miss Robinson? And there are many other issues. What about, again, reparations? Okay, that's not something that is just made up. That's something that we're owed as Black Americans who are descendants of slaves, right? There are so many other issues we could talk about. You know, so many other ways that we can advance the Black community. Now, to me, it seems like if they're telling people, specifically Black people, not to go to the state of Florida, isn't that going to hurt the Florida economy? What about all the Black families, okay, working in Florida, trying to make a living, right? What about all the Black families? Is that really going to help, okay? When you talk about real issues, is issuing a travel ban or travel advisory to the state of Florida, is that really going to provide real solutions to real issues in the Black community? I don't think so, but you all can let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, y'all, let me keep reading. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Okay. Now here's a quote by the NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson, who said, and I quote, "Let me be clear, failing to teach an accurate representation of the horrors and inequalities that Black Americans have faced and continue to face is a disservice to students and a dereliction of duty to all." Okay, I don't know what that word means. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Dereliction, okay? Never heard it used. Under the leadership, okay, here's another quote. "Under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to Black Americans and in direct conflict with the democratic ideals that our union was founded upon." Okay, democratic ideals. He should know, he continues to quote by saying, he should know that democracy will prevail because its defenders are prepared to stand up and fight. We are not backing down. And we encourage our allies to join us in the battle for the soul of our nation. Sounds like something our current president said, battle for the soul of our nation. Just putting two and two together, y'all. Please make sure you like this video, share this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Oh, listen, it continues, y'all. Listen to this, okay? The travel advisory was initially proposed to by the board of directors by NAACP's Florida State Conference, okay? NAACP's collective consideration of this advisory is a result from unrelenting attacks on what they call fundamental freedoms from the governor and his legislative body, okay? Once again, hate-inspired state leaders have chosen to put politics over people. Governor Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have engaged in a blatant war against principles of diversity and inclusion and rejected our shared identities to appeal to a dangerous extremist minority. This is what they're saying, y'all. That is a quote by the chair of the NAACP, our board of directors, Leon Russell, okay? He continues his quote by saying, "We will not allow our rights and history to be held hostage by political grandstanding. The NAACP proudly fights against the malicious attacks in Florida against Black Americans. I encourage my fellow Floridians to join in this fight to protect ourselves and our democracy." This is what they're saying, y'all. Now the article continues, or the press statement continues by saying, following Governor DeSantis' so-called leadership, this is what they're saying, y'all. Following Governor DeSantis' so-called leadership in driving the state to reject students' access to AP African American Studies courses in March. That's what I was telling y'all about, right? The course where not only does it teach Black history, but there are other groups who have attached themselves to Black history, right? Black queer studies, okay? There's a chapter or a section in the curriculum. Now, a lot of times we hear things, we as people, sometimes we hear things and we just take off. What? They said that? Oh, I can't believe that. We take off and run with it. And we don't take the time to do our research, okay? Black Americans, all Americans, okay? Take your time and do your research. If you search AP curriculum, okay? If I can pull up I actually downloaded the curriculum, right? And I looked through it and I said, wait a minute, why are they teaching Black queer studies? Why is this is this something necessary in the study of Black history? What is this really about? Why would you want to teach gender identity to high school students in an AP class? Is that necessary? What's really going on here? Okay, I think any parent, maybe, I know I am asking the question, why is that necessary? What's really going on? Whose idea is this? And why do they think this is a good idea to teach this type of ideology to children, specifically high school children? In this case, when we're talking about AP African American Studies advanced placement classes, right? Why is that even necessary? But let me keep reading, y'all. So the NAACP, it says, distributed 10,000 books to 25 predominantly Black communities across the state in collaboration with the American Federation of Teachers Reading Opens the World program. Okay, the majority of books donated were titles banned under the state's increasingly restrictive laws. The NAACP continues to encourage local branches and youth councils to start community libraries to ensure access to representative literature. Now, I want to say this about the banned books, and I'll probably cover this in a video. I had a chance to look over a lot of the books on the list, and even though we're talking about this in 2023, right? At the time of this video, what is today, y'all? May 28th, 2023. A lot of these books were not written in 2023. As a matter of fact, some of these books are decades old. So the question I had, and actually my husband and I, we were talking about this, why, if these books were not just published, right? we're not saying we support the books. We're not saying we're for or against them, right? We're just talking about, if you're talking about banning books, number one, okay, who gets to decide? Who gets to decide, well, I'm the one gonna ban the books and it's gonna be based on what I believe? Okay, just the idea of, now keep in mind, y'all, many years back, right, it was actually illegal. Okay, it was against the law. It was not allowed for Black people to read, right? Slaves to read. Think about that. Just think about that concept, y'all. Slaves were not allowed to read. That's a whole nother conversation about that. So just the thought of someone being able to ban any book, okay, that's concerning. Who gets to decide who bans the books, right? What type of books can get banned? Where is the line drawn? That's what I'm saying. You know, some of the books that I just kind of, when I looked over the list, some of the books, you know, were concerning because of the content, whether it was, you know, too graphic or it wasn't age appropriate, or it talked about this particular thing that may not have been age appropriate. Some of them I could agree with. I still need to do some more research on it, but just the idea that someone, okay, a group can come and say, hey, we're going to ban books. We're going to keep you from reading a certain type of book, right? Where's that line drawn? How do you draw that line? If we allow books to be banned, now I'm not, this is not by any way me saying, this video is not about, oh, we should not ban books, right? I think that there are some books that, based on the age appropriateness, should or should not be, you know, given to children to read. And I'm talking specifically about the school system, right? Where do you draw the line? Think about it. This is a conversation that you know, it could go very deep. Where do you draw the line when it comes to banning books? Where do you draw the line? Because guess what? If we say, okay, these particular books are banned, can they then come and say, okay, well, we're going to ban, for example, the Bible or whatever religious documents, books, materials that you read? Think about that. If we say, okay, we're going to ban these type of books, right? Could they later come and say, okay, we're going to ban the Bible. You can't read the Bible. You can't read this. You can't read that. Whatever, based on your, you know, based on your belief, whatever books, documents, resources that are meaningful to you, right? That are a part of who you are. What if they come back and try to ban those books all because they said, hey, okay, well, you started with these books. Now we're going to, you know, keep going. Where do you draw the line? That's concerning. NAACP, I don't necessarily agree with you issuing a travel advisory to the state of Florida, simply because I don't see this solving any fundamental issue, no real issue regarding the Black community. It surely, in my opinion, does not, as your name suggests, advance. It does not advance Black people in any way. If anything, I would think it would hurt the economy and the communities of Florida. Again, I've been to Florida. I still travel to Florida. I've never felt any of the feelings that the NAACP was describing. I never felt marginalized. I've never felt mistreated. I'm still, as a matter of fact, I'm still going to go to Florida even after the travel advisory was issued. But again, there are so many other issues, so many other real issues in the Black community that the NAACP could get behind and support. For example, supporting the family of Miss Robinson. I don't want to mispronounce her first name. Let me look it up really quickly. I want to mention her, but I don't want to mess up her name. So give me just a moment. You all, please make sure you like this video, share this video. Shanquella Robinson. Okay, I didn't want to say the wrong name. Okay, I hope that I pronounced it correctly. No disrespect if I didn't. Why not get behind the family of Shanquella Robinson and help them get justice for the loss of their loved one? NAACP, why not? I'm gonna talk about this more, y'all. What's happening in California with the reparations, the fact that it's happening, you know, the fact that it's actually being talked about is good, but I don't know if I necessarily agree. I got to do some more research on this, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with the talks that are happening in California. Okay. But NAACP, why not get with figures that I know? For example, Dr. Claude Anderson. I've talked about him, author of Powernomics as well as many books. I refer to his work when I did my reparations video almost, I believe, 2 years ago here on the channel, NAACP, why not get with figures such as Dr. Claude Anderson, who is written on, you know, based on his experience, his knowledge. Why not get with NAACP? Why not get with figures, important figures, right? Intelligent figures such as Dr. Claude Anderson, and there are others, right? And come up with a plan to present that would truly advance Black people, Black families, Black communities, Black economies, Black businesses, Black education. I could go on and on, right? Why not spend time doing that, right? Why instead are you issuing a travel ban, travel advisory for the state of Florida, as if that is going to provide a real meaningful solution to many of the problems in the Black community? Okay, NAACP, I'm gonna ask you to think again, and what you're doing is not really providing a real solution to the Black community. But I want to hear your thoughts. Listen, y'all, thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to subscribe, join our community. I talk about many different topics on this channel. Home gardening, you all can see right behind me, I'm growing my own food, because guess what I realized, y'all? Food shortages, they've happened. The food shortages are coming, and with so many chemicals and pesticides and things like that, I want to grow my own food so that I can provide for my family and myself, you know, when there's no food, little or no food available. Okay, grow your own food, y'all. I have a home gardening playlist. Okay, y'all see my little owl friend right there helping protect the vegetable plants. Listen, y'all, check out my home gardening playlist. Check out the community tab. Okay, I share a lot of information on the community tab here on the channel. I want to know your thoughts, y'all. Why is NAACP issuing a Florida travel advisor? Okay, is this a way for one particular party to swoop in and keep the Black vote? Okay, is that what they're trying to do? Are they trying to get the Black vote and keep the Black vote? What is really happening here? Why, NAACP? Why are you doing this? What real solution, NAACP, is this providing for the Black community? You all let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for supporting me here on Andrea Speaks TV. Y'all take care, be blessed. Stay tuned for more news and commentary you can use.